You're listening to High Frequency Healing on the Superpower Up podcast, the show that explores the awakening of superpowers through higher dimensional healing.
Hello, this is AngelaMaría, one of the Superpower Up hosts, and you are listening to High Frequency Healing Show. The only difference between where you are to where you want to be is the action you take here and now to heal your life. Let's take a deep breath and be here and now. Today, I invite you to enjoy this time together. So here we go. Let's welcome Else Byskov to my show. We will be talking about tapping into the energy of spiritual science. Else is an international authority on the spiritual science of Martinus, and he's a Danish visionary and mystic. His work comprises more than 10,000 pages of spiritual science. It's like a spiritual wisdom that we're going to keep on talking more in some seconds. It's a spiritual nourishment for us living here right now in modern societies with a specific outlook. It answers all the big questions and appeals to our intellect. Else is also a passionate hiker and best-selling author of hiking books about Andalucía, where she lives in Spain. She has been a vegetarian for 18 years and detests all kinds of cruelty. Please join me to welcome Else Byskov. Hi, Else. How are you?
Hello. Thank you very much for having me on your show. I'm very excited about it.
Yes, me too. This is going to be a great conversation. I am very curious about all of this work because let me tell you, it's the first time that I'm listening and hearing about all of this information. So I'm super excited. Else, what's your healing superpower?
Well, I think that I know that there's a great healing superpower in becoming knowledgeable about the spiritual science, because when you study the spiritual science, the vibration of this material is so high that it makes your lower tendency deteriorate and finally die. And I'll explain how it has worked for me. Because when I encountered the Martinus material, and that is 23 years ago, so I have been studying it for 23 years, I could often get, annoyed, irritated with my husband, with my children, But after I had studied the Martinus material, all these irritabilities, they left me. I was no longer able to become irritable. I was just like acceptable of so many more things. And instead of having a bad reaction, I could sit down or think, well, no, I won't react like that. And eventually, the old patterns of reaction left me, and it has made me so much living in so much more harmony. I cannot tell you how much harmony has come into my life after I have studied the Martinus material. But I must also say that Martinus material is not a quick fix. It's not something that you can just, learn from one day to the other. It consists of more than 10,000 pages, and I have been studying it, as I said. And in my own humble way, I have been trying to make this material accessible to people. I have written now 7 books. The 7th hasn't been published yet, but 6 books are out and you can find them on Amazon, all the Amazons. And to introduce those who are interested to this cornucopia of spiritual science that will change your life undoubtedly. If you're on wavelength with it, if you are able to understand it and accept it, then it will definitely change your life and it will heal you, no doubt about it. I mean, I am 68. I am extremely healthy. I walk in the mountains as if I were a mountain goat. Mm-hmm. And And I mean, I never have an unhappy moment. I'm totally and always very, very high-spirited. And I'm sure that that has something to do with the very high vibration of the spiritual science of Martinus. It is simply like that.
Wow, Else. I love this. I think this is going to be an awesome conversation. But before we dip into all of this high frequency information, I would like to know more about you. So would you please take us back to your early years before you know all of this information and name one memorable life lesson that is useful for you today?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I was a searching soul my whole life. I don't think I realized it until I was like in my 30s, but I was definitely a searching soul. And I think that what happens is that when the pupil is ready, the teacher appears. And that definitely happened in my case. When I was 45, I'd been a searching soul and an atheist for more than 30 years. And then suddenly a book about the Martinus material fell. I use the word fell because it just seemed that it was by accident, but of course it wasn't. Nothing happens by accident. But I came in contact with this material, and my husband and I, we bought all the books, and it took me 1 year to read at least the first 7,000 pages of his work, and I was over the moon with enthusiasm. I mean, this was definitely what I had always been looking for. Logical answers to the mystery of life, not some hocus pocus or mumbo jumbo, nothing to do with religion, which, of course, as I had been an atheist, I did not buy into any of religions. But this was the material that so appealed to me. It appealed to my intellect like nothing I had ever read before. And, you know, I was just so enthusiastic about it. And I was saying, yes, 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 this is it. This is how it is. It cannot be in any other way. And this enthusiasm led me to write my first book called Death is an Illusion, which is a general introduction to Martinus's cosmology or spiritual science. And it was published in 2002. But of course, the Martinus material is something very different from anything that is out there. And it is still not very well known because it is huge. It's written in Danish. I'm Danish, so I have I'm so lucky that I can actually read it. And I know that introducing new things and new ways of thinking, it takes time. It will take several hundred years until it has reached its peak potential. But Martinus knew that, and he was fine about it. He knew that it would grow gradually. And he also clearly said that it was written for those, it's spiritual nourishment for those who are alive today and who have a scientific outlook on life. It's not a new religion. It is not something that will appeal to our feelings, and it was not something that will appeal to our instinct. It will appeal to our intelligence. And I think that many people today are interested in this because they have turned their backs on traditional religion because it does not make a whole lot of sense to them. And, you know, the churches are getting emptier and emptier. And that is because it cannot appeal. The religions do not really appeal to people's intellect. And because we can say, well, it's fine to be an atheist, and I was an atheist for many years, but at a certain point, you will still be looking, you will still be searching. You can be an atheist for many lifetimes, maybe. For me, it lasted 30 years. But after that, you know, I was thinking, there has to be a meaning. There has to be an explanation. What are we doing here? Where are we coming from? And where are we going? And all those questions and many, many, many more were answered for me in the Martinus material.
Wow. And I want that in some minutes we discuss more about this concept of spiritual science that is really calling something inside me, as when you read the first word for Martinus was calling you. It's like your soul was saying, this is for you, Else, and this information is the one that you need to spread around the world. That's exactly how I feel about this topic of spiritual science. And I want that we discuss that later on. But now, where can people go to find out more about you, Else?
Well, they can first of all go to my websites. I have 3 websites, but my most important website is called newspiritualscience.com. And that is the website where I present Martinus, a little bit about him, and I present all my books, all my spiritual books. And I have my blog posts. I have loads of blogs that also will answer lots of questions for a lot of the big questions that people will have. I think I have maybe 40 blog posts, if not more. Okay. And there's free stuff that you can download, and you can subscribe to my monthly newsletter. So that is all happening on my website, New Spiritual Science. I also have an older website called deathisanillusion.dk. And that is where I introduce my book, Death is an Illusion, and I write about more in detail about who Martinus was and how he happened to be able to access this material. And then I have finally my hiking website called Byskov.com, but that is not so relevant in this conversation. I also have a Facebook page, obviously, New Spiritual Science 101.
Perfect.
So that is where you can find me.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We've been talking with Else Byskov about tapping into the spiritual science. When we come back from this short break, we're going to talk more about her healing superpowers that she connected through all of this information. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Are you here to change the world? Do you talk about things like vibration, frequency, awakening, and consciousness? Are you pretty sure you have superpowers? The Superpower Net is unlike normal coaching programs and conscious communities. We provide training, intuitive guidance, peer-to-peer learning, intensive one-on-one coaching, and a high vibrational network of people just like you. When you join the net, you get 24/7 access to a collaborative group of people who support you as you master your personal power and unlock your superpowers. If you're ready to use your superpowers to change the world, then join the Superpower Net today. Visit superpowerexperts.com/thenet to learn more.
We're back, and you are listening to High Frequency Healing Show. Today, we are talking with Else Byskov about tapping into the spiritual science. And Else, could you share with us what was the burning bush moment that made your heart desire changing your path in life?
Well, as I said, it was finding the material of Martinus, and it changed my life in so many ways. First of all, it gave me new friends. The friends I had, they couldn't follow me into this material, and they sort of thought I had lost my marbles. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay. And out of the blue came new friends that were on wavelength with this material. It was so interesting. One day I got an email from somebody saying, oh, I read your book, Death is an Illusion. I think I should translate it into German. We met. We're still best of friends. She did. A publisher came out of the blue. So I've been helped in so many ways with this. Same happened with the Spanish version called La Muerte es una ilusión. A woman from Argentina wrote to me and said, I want to translate this into Spanish. And I said, fine. And in that way, it changed my life. But of course, what changes your life, I think, in the most profound way is that, I mean, it's no coincidence that the title of my first book was Death is an Illusion, because once you realize that you cannot die, that what constitutes your I, yourself, your spirit, is not identical to your physical body, then that the whole perspective of life changes. Obviously, when you go around thinking that you can actually die, and that you will cease to exist, then that gives you a different perspective of life. But when you realize, and I'm not thinking about faith here, I'm not talking about belief. I know through my study of the Martinus material and through my study of the evidence that is present here in the physical world, that our consciousness survives the death of the physical body. Once you have reached that insight, what is there to worry about? What is there to be sad about? I mean, it changes your whole perspective, and I mean, it gives you such a lightness of being, which I'm sure you can imagine. Mm-hmm. That I mean, what as I said, what shall I worry about? Absolutely nothing. I know that my consciousness, which is a field of energy, pulls out when the physical body is no longer useful, when it has been injured or ill, or because of old age, and my spiritual body pulls out. But because it is a spirit, consists of energy, it cannot be destroyed. So it pulls out and it moves on to the spiritual plane, where it stays for a certain amount of time until it does again reincarnate into a new physical body. And it goes on like this. And for each life we live, we develop, we undergo an evolution from primitive to more advanced and all-loving being. For each life we live, we move forward and become better, more moral, more beautiful, more helpful, more kind, and most of all, more all-loving. So we are all on a spiritual journey, a wonderful, wonderful journey from primitive beings to advanced beings, to become real human beings. I mean, we're not real human beings yet. We are on our way. We are definitely on our way, and we are somewhere between the animal and the real human being, because the real human being cannot lie, cannot cheat, cannot steal, cannot kill. And when I say kill, I don't only mean other humans, I mean also animals. So a real human being will live on a vegetarian or vegan diet. A real human being is somebody who emanates love towards all other beings. And I mean, that's where we are going. We are on our way to that. But obviously, such a large journey from primitive to advanced being takes many, many incarnations.
Mm-hmm. Else, that's very important. But I would like to know also, how was your life going before you found this information? Were you going through any crisis? Were you feeling something was missing? Were you sick? Were you heartbroken? Were you broke? Or you were in a normal state in humanity and suddenly this information came and made the change in your life?
Yes, I would say I was in a sort of crisis, because we were living in Denmark, my husband and I was approaching 40. And I was thinking, most people have a crisis when they turn 40. and because I had studied Spanish at university, I was in love with Spain, still am. Mm-hmm. And I said to my husband, hey, do you want to emigrate to Spain? And he said, yeah, well, fine, let's do that. And my husband is a dentist, so we decided to come here to Spain and establish a dental clinic. But you can imagine how hard that was. We left the Danish social security, and we established ourselves here in Spain. But of course, we had no money. We had to live from day to day. I mean, it took time. Obviously, it takes time to establish a business anywhere when you come as a new person. So, I mean, it was a mild crisis. Let me put it like that. It was not a personal crisis, but of course, it was a life-changing thing. And I think that this life change enhanced my wish to find a proper explanation to the mystery of life. Because what is it all about? That's the mystery of life. And after I found the Martinus material, I know. So yeah, a search, and you will find, I think. This is probably what happened to me.
I love that. I love, because usually when you have these kind of breakthroughs in life, is because you're going through a tough crisis, a tough situation, and even you were going through a tough time just finding out what is really what I want to do in life, still this information just tap into your cells, tap into your ADN, and was able to DNA, sorry. And it was able to make all of this, Spanish always interferes. But all of this information really make a transformation in your life, and I would say even in your energy frequency, the way you were vibrating has changed a lot since you tap into all of this information. But let me ask you this question, Else. What is spiritual science? Why the word science next to spiritual? Why it's necessary to make that emphasis in science?
Yes, that's a good question. And the reason why it's called spiritual science is that it is spirituality subject to the laws of science. And I mean, when you talk about science, you have certain rules that you have to apply in order to be able to call something science. But the Martinus material also reveals, Martinus says that there are laws, there are physical laws like the law of gravity, and there are spiritual laws. And he introduces or explains what these spiritual laws are all about. And like he explains everything, and I think this is the main point, with an overwhelming logic. It is so logical what Martinus explained. And once you have a logical mind, which you will have if you have a scientific outlook, you will have a logical mind. And then the Martinus material will absolutely appeal to it. You said, wow, yes, this is true. This makes sense. And I mean, Martinus explains his world picture with mathematical precision. Like, for instance, in volume 2, in his main work, which is called Livets Bog, the Book of Life, it consists of 7 volumes. He talks about cosmic chemistry, and it is a hugely interesting volume, probably the most interesting I have ever read. You cannot imagine how interesting it is. But of course, it's And I mean, but it's a huge volume, and I cannot really explain it in few words. But as I will certainly recommend that if you want to have an idea about what this is about, then I would recommend that you read Death is an Illusion, which is an easy introduction to the Martinus world picture. And if it appeals to you, you can go on and you can read the Martinus' own material, which is available at martinus.dk. It's a huge website in 20 languages with information about all his work and all the books that have been translated. A lot of it has been translated into English, not all of it yet. A lot of it, even more, has been translated into Spanish, for that matter. So it is all available at the Martinus website, martinus.dk. However, I must say that I consider my books to be maybe a little like links that can get you from meet you where you are today, and then introduce you to it in a light way, so that you will be ready to study his own work. Because I think for many people, jumping from zero into his proper work will, to many people, be maybe too much. But I'm not saying it is for everybody. But my books are meant as bridge builders, building a bridge between people where they are today and the Martinus material. And yes, because I mean, it so changes your life, and it makes you so optimistic, and it makes you look at the world in a really, really optimistic way, because the Martinus world picture is a deeply optimistic world picture. He tells us where we are going, and no, we are not going down the drain. The earth is not approaching some kind of Armageddon. We are advancing every day. Every day the world has turned, every time the world has turned once, we are moving in the right direction. Because of the law of karma, you reap as you sow. Those people who who sow murder and lying and greed. We have so much greed in this world. They will get it back. They will get the same thing back as they sowed. And through the suffering that they will then experience in a future incarnation, they will become more and more loving. And we are all on this way, on a way to becoming more and more loving. And I mean, not everybody stands at the same level of their development, obviously. Some are still able to kill. We have terrorists, but we also have a lot of humanitarian people who are willing to help when there are a crisis around the world, who cannot stand thinking about their own well-being when they know that other people are suffering. There's so much good going on. We have so much to look forward to, but that never hits the news, because the news only thrive on catastrophes and wars and all the bad things. We never hear about all the good things that are also happening on this planet at a grassroots level. But one day the grassroots level will reach critical mass, and they will become the ones in power. That may not happen in this incarnation for us, but it will happen in around 1 to 200 years. Enough people will have had enough of the people in power who are only thinking about their own greed and like amassing amounts of money that they cannot even spend in 10 lifetimes. I mean, for Christ's sake. Sorry. Yeah. So, sorry. Yeah.
Amen. I do believe that, and I have the same feeling. There is going to be a turning point, and every single thing that we are doing, from your work, from my work, from all the spiritual people who are now turning into ourselves and taking this spiritual journey inside us, we are contributing with our energy and our high frequency to make that turning point real and be part of our reality.
Absolutely. Yes, you're absolutely right. That is how it is.
Yeah. How would you explain in simple words, very simple words, the essence of this spiritual science?
It is a science about the spiritual world. It is not only about the spiritual world. The Martinus material reveals the meaning of both the physical world and the spiritual world. And it reveals the meaning of suffering. It reveals that there is no death. It reveals why reincarnation is an absolutely essential part of being alive. I mean, we cannot have a living universe without the concept of reincarnation. It also explains how we can create our fate so that we stop sowing dark karma. I mean, who wants to suffer? Who wants to have a fate full of war and suffering and abuse and all that? And once we realize that we reap as we sow, we will stop sowing things that we don't want to reap. And I think the whole insight and the wisdom you achieve through this study will make you realize that it pays to be good. I mean, it sounds like some merchants, but it is really, no, that's not what I mean, but it really pays to be a good person. So the more you can practice being kind, being understanding, being helpful, and showing on universal love, showing compassion, the more you can practice that, the better it will be for your next incarnation also, and for your karma and your fate in your next incarnation. But what the Martinus material shows such a wide perspective, that sometimes it really blows your mind. But it also gives you a lot of concrete ideas about what you can do to improve your own life. And I can speak from personal experience, because it has improved my own life so much. It has turned my life completely around. And I'm extremely happy. I'm probably the happiest person alive. No, well, yes.
Yes,
I don't know about that. But yes, I am. So I mean, and everybody can be like that. Everybody can. I'm not exceptional in any way, but anybody who can study the Martinus material will realize that this makes so much sense, that this has to be the truth about life and death and the mystery of both.
Mm-hmm. Else, you have mentioned many things, and I work with energy healing, and I work with past lives, and I work with the inner child. I know exactly what you were talking about, but we don't know who's listening to all of this information, and I want to make it easier for them to digest, and in that way the information can really get into them. So how does all of this spiritual science work? The healing process. You were talking about emotion, being more loving, not reacting. All of those negative emotions create the illnesses that we feel in our physical body. Could you just expand a little bit all of this concept of healing through this information?
Yes, I would love to do that. What you have to realize is that our thoughts are not nothing. Our thoughts are small bundles of energy. And our thoughts have a double identity. They contain energy or electricity, and they contain information. So a thought has a double identity. It's electric, and it contains information. And with your thoughts, your whole thought sphere, all your thoughts constitute your consciousness. And the more high vibrating you can make your thoughts, the better will the frequency of your consciousness become. And how can you make your thoughts vibrate in a higher way? You can by improving the way you think. If you think thoughts that are negative, oh, look at that bad person, oh, I'm so lousy, and oh, I'm a martyr and everybody is out to get me. I think I'm a victim. And when I look at the world, it's all crap. And you know what? Those kind of thoughts will give you a very low vibration, to your consciousness. But that is not what you aim for. You aim, or you can aim if you want to have a higher vibrating consciousness. And that you can do by changing your thoughts, monitoring your thoughts, and think positive and happy thoughts. And then people will say to me, oh, I have nothing to be happy about. What? I will say, and this is the point, the best way to change your thoughts, that is to start to live in gratitude. And then some people will say, oh, I have nothing to be grateful for. Oh, come on. Start with the small stuff. I'm grateful that I had a lovely cup of coffee. I'm grateful that I have a bed to sleep in. I'm grateful for a warm meal. I'm grateful that I have clothes on my back. And then you can work yourself up. And once you start to focus on things to be grateful for, you will attract more things to be grateful for. And that will raise your vibration so much so that in the end, you can only see things that you have to be grateful for. And once you have got used to that, because this may take practice, not that it's very difficult, but maybe if you have to practice it for a month or something, you will see the difference it makes. And I mean, sometimes people, they meet me and they say, whoa, I can see your aura. They can see my aura is a shining thing around my head because I live in so much gratitude. And of course, because I studied the Martinus material, my consciousness becomes a high frequency consciousness. It vibrates on a high level. And obviously, that is also a very good protection. Your aura protects you from a lot of negative stuff. So it is so desirable that you can raise the frequency of your consciousness through your own thinking. So stop thinking negative thoughts. Get rid of them. Stop worrying. Stop being sad about what you did and what you said. Just concentrate and focus on things to be grateful for. And it is the most effective tool I can give you. It is so effective. And you will see it as soon as you have practiced it, you will. I can guarantee you will see the difference. Does that answer your question?
Yes, Else, because it is exactly what happens when you inside are vibrating in love and gratitude. When inside you feel responsible for your own creations, everything that is happening outside, you create. You create it from your energy vibration. When you are aware of that, and then your actions, your thoughts, and your feelings are aligned, even your words aligned to what you really want to create out there, that's when you start healing your life. And it's not just about a physical healing. This show is not about physical healing. It's about a deeper healing that touches your energy, your fields, that touches your mind, your spirit. And when you are allowed that energy to go through you and do what it needs to be done, is when you can experience that healing in all yourself, not just your body. So thank you for sharing that. Else, and just to finish, you and I, we know that a lot of people, they don't have time to read. They may not go now and buy your book and start reading it. They may, and hopefully they will start with one book and then start just finding more information. But could you share with us 2 steps for anyone to start their healing process through the spiritual science? Just 2 of them that you just create this kind of action in people saying, what if I read more? What would be those 2 steps?
Well, as I said, start by monitoring your thoughts and start by realizing what you just said. I totally agree. We are responsible for our own life. It is not anybody else's fault. It's never others' fault. It's all something that we have created. We may have created it by default, and we may not. Of course, nobody creates a bad fate for themselves knowingly. But what the whole point, or not the whole point, but one of the points about the spiritual science is that through reading it, you will realize, you will get knowledgeable about the workings of how you create your fate. How does the law of karma work? And just imagine that you know the law, you know how this law works, and then you can work according to it. I mean, it's a fantastic tool to have, that you know how it works and you know what you should sow and what you shouldn't sow, so that you know that you will reap only what you want to reap in the future. So that is one of the things, but the benefits are so many, as I said, knowing that death is an illusion, that we cannot die, that only the physical body can die, but that we are not identical to that physical body. We are identical to our spirit and our aura or our consciousness. You can call it what you want. It's basically, they are all the same. And knowing where we're coming from and where we're going, all this insight will make you a totally different person.
Love it. I will summarize it into these 2 concepts. Number 1, manage your thoughts. And number 2, access to this knowledge so you can really create your own structure about death. Where are you going? What are you here to do? What's your mission, your purpose? And this information will really guide you through those concepts for you to be able to create the life that you really want. Else, let's remind our listeners where they can go to find out more about you.
Yeah, newspiritualscience.com. Also, I have an author page at Amazon, amazon.com.co.uk. All the Amazons, you can find me there. And you can just look up Death is an Illusion. If you can't spell my name, which of course is a Danish name and it's a bit complicated, but just you go to Amazon and write Death is an Illusion, you will see and you will come to my author page. And or you can go to my website, newspiritualscience.com, where you can find a lot of information, also a lot of answers to the big questions. And I really invite you to download the free material I have and to subscribe to my website. I would really love you to do that, because then you can receive my newsletter every month. And I in my newsletter, I deal with all the questions that come up in the time. Like, is it, for instance, my latest is it a good idea to seek revenge? A lot of people think that they should revenge themselves, but no, that's not a good idea. This is just an example.
Yes.
So,
Thank you so much, Else, for sharing your healing superpower through all of this information, through all of this spiritual science with us.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much, AngelaMaría.
And thank you all of you for joining us today. I am AngelaMaría, Conscious Creation. Change actions, shift energy to live heaven down here on earth. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Are you ready to discover your superpowers? Go now to superpowerexperts.com and take the superpower quiz today.